Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Tonight we have Derek Johnson in the house, everybody. So please, we kind of know how it goes. We just kind of talk through things. He just talks, everybody, but he does talk about a lot of stuff that is going on. And through the course of things, if you guys write questions or send me questions, he does wind up through the course of his presentation, if you will, or conversation here, he answers your questions. So please, everybody, if we can get to some questions, we will certainly try. But if we don't, Derek always has great information to bring us. He is being validated left and right. So if you aren't paying attention to him, or you're just starting, you're in the right spot. But yes, he's definitely somebody you want to watch because, again, Trump is a wartime president. He's a law and order president. He's going by the laws and orders and executive orders. So it's nothing that Derek has reinvented. He's not reinvented the wheel. He has just written out things in layman's terms where we, the people, is right there in front of us. We don't have to go digging and searching for us. He just gives us that guide, right? But it's all there, everybody. And if you've looked at any of them and refer back to what Derek says, you can see how it's all falling into place. So it's super exciting to see all this stuff happening amongst all the noise, the hating, the division that's trying to be caused, the psyops we're seeing, the misinformation, the disinformation. It's a wild, wild west out there, guys. So you need to stay out of the noise. It's just that distraction, distraction, distraction. Stay focused on the laws and orders. Watch President Trump. Stay eyes on God first and foremost, but watch Trump. If you're that confused and you just don't know who to trust, follow Trump because he is telling us, everybody, without directly coming out and telling us. He is giving us cons. He is giving us nuggets. He's on fire. And if you guys read his post today regarding Rob Reiner, if you guys don't see right there within that post what a psyop we are in and that we are watching a movie, I mean, why would Trump put out that kind of a post about Rob Reiner, right? So if you haven't read it, it's on the wall. But Derek, I'm sure will cover all of this and let you know. But again, everybody, it's all about the laws and orders, executive orders, and that's what Trump is doing. And you got to let him commit the crime, everybody, so they can what? Do the time. So he's doing it by the laws of the land, guys. So at that, also to everybody, if you come in late to the podcast, please feel free to go follow the podcast host on the podcast hosts or the social medias. We are being listened to in over 100 countries, so we are making some great noise. The podcast hosts are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, PocketCast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias: Jenny Dreed, Facebook at Jenny_Dreed X, at JJ Reed Rumble, at JDreed True Social, at JDreed Instagram, the Revival of America right here on Telegram, and then the Revival of America over on YouTube. Also, check out the website, everybody, therevivalofamerica.com. Fill out the newsletter. It is free. You get the weekly updates on the show lineups as well as the current podcasts that come out. You can watch the podcast over on the website as well. Also, if you guys have a story or a journey to tell, please submit your stories to TROA submissions at yahoo.com. Those are just for the submissions because my personal emails for like questions, or if you want to get in touch with John Baxter or anything like that, that's a whole different email. Just trying to keep it simple, but please submit your stories to TROA submissions at yahoo.com. We do vet these stories because, again, we have the shysters out there that want to try to give you a fake story, give us a fake story just to get on a show. So if we believe it's legit, we'll reach out to you via email and we will get you scheduled to have you and your voice on the show. Because remember, everybody, it's your voice, your stories that are going to help shape this new world we're coming into. And then last but certainly not least, if you have a question for me, or you're trying to get in touch with John Baxter and his staff, or you want to get in touch or know how to purchase Field's books, whatever it may be, email me at the Revival of America at yahoo.com. That's where I am responding to everybody. Give me a little bit, everybody, because I do run a business. That's my day gig, and this is secondary. So obviously you got to take care of the business first and then come do this. So with that, everybody, we've got Derek in the house. He gives us 90 minutes of his time. So get your pen and papers out, guys. There's a lot going on, a lot of great stuff, but so many are missing The greatest time to be alive, because they're so focused on the noise. Like, Derek will always say drama, and it is just that, drama. People like the drama, but stay out of that noise. Stay focused on the positive, because a lot of great things happening amongst all these crazy psyops. What's up, Derek?
No, just living the life.
You living the life? How you feel about everything that's going on? It's wild. I mean, it's been wild, but man, things are coming out like a wildfire. I mean, the distractions, because Trump, is getting ready to disclose the 2020 election information, and the whole Tina Peters thing. Wow, crazy times. And then Rob Reiner. Whoo, I'm just gonna let you roll, my friend.
Well, I mean, it's just all to be expected. I don't know anyone who would be considered awake or a patriot who should expect. I mean, I just my always is a reverse psychology is what did you expect? What do you think it was going to look like? I mean, but then again, I'm also my dear sweet mother always tells me, she was like, well, I realize who my baby is and what God called you here for in this time in history. Um, but she said, because you're here and because and because you're who you are, and where God's put you, always remember there could be someone out there that's like your dear sweet grandmother listening, and always try to explain it as if your grandma was sitting there listening, because I love my grandmother. Um, so I always
So
try
what?
to. Now, what I always tell people is that, look, I mean, we have personalities, and every operator out there in the world has personalities, and everybody has a personality. So, um, if you'll go back to 2017 and read, I think it was Politico that put out an an article um, about 60,000 secret military. Now, people would go, if most people would say, well, how would you know each other? Well, because when you're working with a blueprint and a formula that is especially militarial, and then also your law of war manual, your law of land warfare, which has been integrated in a lot of other newer publications, but you can still go back and read that one from the 50s and see a lot of it more broken down, more layman's terms, because you got to think about the 50s. But that law of land warfare is a really good publication to go back and read, to be able to fast forward to see integration of different things. Now, there's a term out there that's called hybrid warfare, where you could just take all kinds of warfare and put them together, and it fits a lot like what everybody's witnessing, because it's not boots on the ground. It's not that. And I want to remind everybody what President Trump says. You have to listen to him, but you also have to apply what he says. Back during 2020, the whole world was trying to figure out what the heck COVID was. In March 2020 and April 2020, President Trump specifically said, the cure cannot be bigger than the problem. Well, he wasn't just talking about COVID, though. So you have to apply that language, that verbiage, and that quote to everything. The cure cannot be bigger than the problem. So take out the word cure and put the resolution. The resolution cannot be bigger than the problem. Now, what is the problem? That's the first thing you identify. Well, the financial system, the immigration system. Well, those two little words right there open up a massive can of worms, because both of them were infiltrated with the deep state and how they created their own little checks and balances. Now, it wasn't all of them, and it wasn't, well, I guess you could say it was all of them at a different level if you want to do a tier system. Even if you knew that someone was doing something, you still knew. But you have ones way up top. And then you had your gatekeepers. Then you had the ones on the bottom not really knowing what's going on. Kind of like country music. Country music's a lot like that. A lot of country music artists have no idea how it works until they get in it. And then when they get in it, it's kind of like when you get, which I speak Alabama terms, and South Alabama and South Texas, East Texas, more everything. But, you know, so when you get out in the mud and you get to, and you go, oh crap, I'm stuck, you know, and then you realize, well, how am I going to get out now? So there's a lot of that that's happened through the years. So what was it going to take? You know, you have to have somebody to go in there. Somebody, I'll tell a little story real quick if you don't mind. But in Nashville, there was a big hit producer one time, massive hit producer, massive hit record label guy. But this was years ago. I got an opportunity to write with him, but he wanted the hook first. He said, hey, what's your idea? And I was like, oh, sheesh. I mean, it rattled me because I'm thinking, well, this guy is a massive hit songwriter, massive hit producer, and executive. He could take my hook and idea, if it's great, just like that, and never hear from me again. And there wouldn't be a thing I could do. So I talked to a buddy of mine. I said, he'd been in country music for 40 years. #1 hits, you name it. I said, what do I do here? He goes, hey man, you got to trust somebody. He was like, flip it around the other way. He said, because he is that big, he could do that anytime to anybody, anywhere, any place. You got to trust somebody sometimes. Well, the way you trust in this situation is if you're a President Trump supporter, and if you voted for him, and or even if you were sitting on the fence before, you'll get a hall pass. Let's just say you committed the ultimate sin and you voted for Obama or something like that. Okay, look, that's the past. But if you're a President Trump supporter now, how can you support a man when you don't know anything about what he's saying, his actions, etc.? Because if he was in a normal position, if he was in a normal presidency, if this was just a normal, regular presidency, and there wasn't laws and orders backing militarily, we would be in deep doo-doo in another manner, because he would have been violating a lot of your international, humane, etc. Especially what he said about Rob Reiner. There's no other way to split that. And I've already said it about Bob Saget. Everybody forgot about Bob Saget. Boy, I got roasted way back then. People, oh my God, how could you say this? You're saying special operations took out that. You say, well, I'm just telling you that you're in a war right now. The war was not designed for you, though. It was designed to protect you. This war is not between you and anybody else. But the laws and orders currently invoked more than clearly outline a strategic and special operation via irregular, also unconventional, asymmetrical, and also hybrid warfare. So until you read those, until you know those, until you study those, until you live and breathe those, like people like me, that I mean this so sincerely. Like I say, if my dear sweet grandmother was sitting right here, I'd say, Grandma, you got a lot better things to do than to worry about this. We got it. Don't worry. You just tend to your crop and what you do in your life. We got this on this side, because you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, and you're wasting your breath. And there's so many people out there just trying to be somebody. And there's a huge difference in being someone who was put into a position, knowing what the heck is going on, versus trying to be somebody and act like you're official. And then there's a fine line there in being an American, knowing what you're supposed to know and waking people up around you, versus acting like you're somebody and trying to blow. And there's so many out there. So if you look at X, old school Twitter, for the people who still can't just get that in your head, it's hard for me to as well, that it's called X. But old school Twitter, the blue check. On Facebook also, you can pay for the blue check now. The blue check does not mean you're official. It has no bearing anymore on that. You can pay for that now. The reason why that's important is whether you want to believe Elon was replaced or not, that's on you. But old Zuckerberg, all right, people forget. I have this in my documents way back yonder. I have this in my documents way back. Zuckerberg he dumped 25 million a day in stock. All right. After President Trump's executive order 13959 with a national emergency went into effect in January 2021. President Trump signed it, though, November the 12th, 2020. But it didn't go into effect until January the 11th, I believe it was, 2021. Zuckerberg, you had Warren Buffett left the Bill Gates Foundation. Bill Gates and his wife announced divorce back then. Jeff Bezos stepped down from Amazon. All those things happened after that executive order, which froze the assets of people who were funding the Chinese Communist military. All right, so Zuckerberg, strategic. All right, if you pay for your blue check, guess what they have on you now? Your name, your number, your address, and everything about you. And that's not a bad thing. I've had to explain this to my team and a few people. It's been about 6 months ago now, but when you had I just drew a blank on the name right now, but you had all the information system go from 2 to 1 system. Well, everybody panicked back then. See, this shows you people don't read. And I love my people. But even my people didn't even see it. I said, read the article again. Because I said, I'm a smart ass to everybody. All right. So it's not just some people. Ask my team members, am I a smart ass? Absolutely. I stay true to name and true to everything. Unless you're my dear sweet grandma, then I'll be a little bit more sweeter. But I'll be able to tell if I'm standing there with you. But if I'm standing there and you know me, the better you know me, the worse I am. All right. So I asked my team, I said, read it again. What's it say? Where are y'all panicking? Where did you panic? Palantir, that's what I was thinking of. So where did it said specifically in this article, mainstream article, that who's they? There's charge pronoun. Uh-oh. Here comes the pronouns. See, this the libtards, the pronouns backfire on them. So they took the information from 2 systems and integrated it into 1. You know what people are going back then? Oh, they got our information. Oh my God, this is not cool. They're gonna have our information. They already have it. Did you not read it? It says they're going from 2 systems to 1. They already had your information. See, that's the stuff we're talking about. So the blue check, they got your information. So all those people that are about Trump, that's also a lower level. So we went from the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service, all your 3-letter agencies. President Trump started hammering in 2017. And he said what specifically? He said, it's not everybody. All you holier than thou out there who judge Michael Jaco, you better be asking forgiveness. All right, just because he was in the CIA. So many people. President Trump specifically said, it's not everybody in the 3. This senior level leadership. Prime example of people who don't listen. All right. And Michael Jaco, we've been on multiple podcasts, and you see the comment boxes. Oh my God. I mean, it's atrocious. And I'm like, do you not listen to the man that you claim to support? Do you not listen? Not everybody. So see, we've already gone through all the 3-letter agencies. We've already gone through all the departments. Now it's trickling its way down. Now we're to the mainstream media. Now we're to media, social media, and President Trump has the authority and the power to do what? Restrict telecommunications. So that's why the Associated Press is a great example. The appeals court upholds that ban where they can't go to Mar-a-Lago or the White House. That is one great example to show you that the wartime national emergencies, but the wartime powers, President Trump's using the correct manner. Now, yes, you can make a case that Obama, Bush 1, Clinton, all of that. You can make a case all about Jimmy Carter, especially after 1973, when Congress made it to where a president declares a national emergency, and then bam, 120 statutory powers. So see, this is why it's important to know that. And it goes back to tying in Abraham Lincoln's quote at the same time where he said, even a bad law needs to be strictly enforced, if not double enforced. That way, what? People can see it and do what? Dissent to it. If you don't like it, then you got to express that. But there's a reason why it became a law in the first place, because Americans weren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. How did it become a law? How did it go through your legislators to become a law without you knowing about it? Now think about all the state laws, then think about all the federal laws that have been passed, but Americans were doing what? Twiddling their thumbs, trying to live their daily lives and forgetting. Now, everybody in the last 20, 30 years, let's see, about 30 years, you can be off the hook a little. And this is not a slate on any of my ancestors, but even just not even ancestors, but grandparents and great grandparents. But it's really those generations that got really lush and just, they were good people, great people, but they were so happy and life was good. You could go down the street, you could leave your house unlocked, you could leave your vehicle unlocked. That portion, but look what was building in the background. A bunch of evil thugs, corrupt crooks, you name it. They were building in the background and taking advantage because they knew these people were not paying attention anymore. And that's why people like me sound harsh, and that's why it's that. But I mean, somebody has to be. So what did you think it was going to look like? President Trump said we're draining the swamp. What do you think that's going to look like? So if I put a post up today, if your house is burning down, you looked over and you go, holy my house is on fire. Were you going to call 911 and still sit in your house? You going to sit there and pray inside your house while the firefighters get there and then while they put it out? Or are you going to get your rear end outside and then pray? Which one is it? That's pretty self-explanatory. And then you may be a do-it-yourself, or you may be able to build back or whatever it is on your own. You may be that. But if you're not that, you're going to have to do what? You're going to have to find somebody to assess the damage and then tell you what it's going to cost. And then you're going to have to find you an expert to do what? Build it back. So what do you think President Trump's doing? Why do you think he's so unique and different? Why do you think he talks differently? Why do you think he can just say whatever he wants to say and he don't give a dang? All right. He really don't. And, but it's because this is an operation and he knows he's going to be exonerated on the other side. That's why the 45-47, it didn't stop at 45 dash. The 45-47 is the image of the whole operation. We're still in the operation. We're out of the dash portion, but we're still in the operation. So like the Rob Reiner post, if President Trump was not under a strategic plan and operation via unique laws and orders of the military, but irregular, unconventional, that wouldn't bode well on him if this was just a normal 4 years. Also, his nonchalant attitude towards Charlie Kirk. All right. Oh boy. have I lit some fires on Facebook with Charlie Kirk? We got a lot of people on Facebook who still have their heads so far up their rear ends they can give themselves a tonsillectomy. All right. Look, if you are getting mad, upset, and whatever, it's because you're the target audience. And you are still married to icons, and you're married to people that you don't even know. And I've told people the same thing about me. Don't get married to me. Don't just follow me to follow me. I have a blueprint, a formula. It cannot be proven wrong because it's not about being right or wrong. It's a blueprint and formula that the military is using, the generals, the admirals, and it's what's controlling all these different things. And when you go read irregular, unconventional, asymmetrical, and hybrid warfare, you're going to see things that are used as tactics that you'd be like, dang, that sounds a little, yeah, it may sound a little harsh, may sound a little bit extreme, but it's where we are. And the way you flip it and you get it back on the track, you have to do some reverse psychology sometimes, some counterinsurgency and all kind of other things to get it back on track. And that's what you're witnessing. All right. So like the Charlie Kirk thing, if President Trump was a normal sitting president, he ain't said much about Charlie Kirk. And then also we had a proclamation, a memorial for Charlie Kirk before we can even have a hearing. If this was real, I mean, so look at everything that's like backwards. All right. You would wait until you absolutely had proof. So they're telling you right out the gate that it's not real from other standards because they are so quick on everything. They just, bam, CEO, bam, she's all over the news. Did you see her interview with the lady on Outnumbered or whatever? She's like, I will not be, my silence is not, you're not silent. She's not silent. I mean, this stuff is showing where Americans still have your heads. All right. It's up your rear ends. All right. And at the other end of your rear end is Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, and all these blue checks who were around before 2017, who are nothing but drama, 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 and they don't know one single word from one single sentence, from one single paragraph, from one single law, much less all the laws and orders, much less all of your military strategies and tactics. So you can't have this. You can't quarter this. You can't three-quarter this. You have to jump full-fledged into the, whatever you want to look. If we're rolling down the river, you got to get in the boat. All right. It's that old saying. If you can't run with the big dogs, then stay on the porch. All right. That's what you got to do. Because people like me don't want you flustered and angry and bitter and sad and upset and scared and fearful and none of that. Because I do treat you as if you're my mother or grandmother. All right. And I've had to get this way with friends and family before because I'm like, you're not listening. You're not listening. And it's not this difficult if you'll listen. And especially when it's someone like my mom or dad or someone like that, because I remember being a kid and them going, when are you going to listen? And I'm like, hey, reverse, baby. Here we are. I get to play that to you now. And I love them with all my heart. And I love my friends and family with all my heart. But some people just know more. And President Trump is way too nonchalant if this was normal in a real, regular presidential setting. He's way too nonchalant. If that was somebody who was truly a big supporter, even if it was just an acquaintance, but especially a friend, he would be way more vocal and vigilant to find where this person is, who this person is. Let's get them hung up, strung up, whatever we got to do. He's nonchalant about it. Same thing about the National Guard girl. There's only 3 photos out there of this girl. 3! And they're all in private first-class uniform. Where's her specialist? They calling her a specialist. Why can't we get a photo of her in her specialist uniform? And then guess what the news admits? Guess what the news just put out recently? The article. The article came out. Oh, the family's going to keep the funeral private. Bravo, bingo, validation again. And when you go to her Facebook page and her mom and her daddy, guess what? They only got a couple of photos up, not much on them. Barely have any friends. So guess what? You can't find anything on them because it's all part of the plan. Same thing with old Erica. She's all over the news. My silence does not make me complacent. She's not silent. She's all over the news. And then she's talking about, oh, stop with the conspiracy. Well, her quote unquote husband, that she just keeps saying the term husband over and over and over, as if we don't know who this guy is. All right, my husband. Jeez, you sound like you just 2 days into marriage. Like, oh, we get it. You just got married. No, these people have been married. My husband. She's all over the news, and then she's saying this, and then she's like, oh, well, we take all leads. Every lead we get, we take it and we give it to. Why do we need leads? You forgave a shooter before we had identity. You forgave him. And now we have a quote unquote shooter, but you're still giving leads to the authorities? That don't make any sense. And then, oh, stop the conspiracies. Stop. Sounds like old Joe Biden. People thought Joe was real. What did he say? Don't. What do you have to say to Iran if they do? Don't. Man, we down to one word now? Stop. Talking about the conspiracy theories. Saying, oh, there's conspiracies out there that he's this and he. Well, why is there a list that I've posted that no one can answer? No one can answer any of that list, and it's a mile long. Of all the things that your eyes saw, whether you made it applicable to your brain or not, but your eyes saw that whole list that I put out, none of September the 10th was real. Now, most of the ladies, most of the females who follow me, don't mind me being a little, funny, but I'm just going to be a little funny if I may. And if I get slapped on the wrist by my mom or somebody, okay, so be it. But on my X account, on my Twitter, old school Twitter, X, I have a squirrel that is hanging by his cojones. It's blocked as graphic content on X. But the original footage of Charlie Kirk being pummeled by quote unquote 30-06 is not blocked for graphic content. Now, make that make sense. I put up a photo of old Erica and the original CK. Old Erica is in a bikini. They have it blocked as graphic content, but not a bullet hole live video, original footage on X. Make that make sense. So see, all this stuff, when I get like this, I'm not mad. I'm like, how can you not see it? How can you not see it? And then you have, again, she on the recently, oh, my silence. She's not silent. Telling conspiracy theorists to stop. Saying that we're taking leads to authorities when I thought we have a shooter. What other leads would you need? You wouldn't need any others if he was the shooter. So, I mean, all this stuff is right in front of you. And there was one other thing that was kind of humorous that she quote unquote said on that, which, and then watch her how she interviews. Watch the quote unquote person they got playing her. She hardly ever looks at the host. Hardly ever makes eye contact with the host. Make that make sense. So there's a lot of things that you got to pay attention to details. You got to watch body language.
She's always looking up. I've noticed that.
The other thing is she said, I don't have time. We're busy building. I don't have time to answer. Okay, you're on show after show after show. Yeah, you got time. And you just inherited millions. All right. And you have a team that you claim that's your team now. They got that under control. They were there before you, sweet thing. They were over there doing their thing before you stepped in. So see, you got to listen to the language, ladies and gentlemen. Language tells all. She says, my silence. She's not silent. Then I don't have time. Yes, you do. You're on show after show after show. But I tell you what, look at the comment boxes. 90% of the comments are lighting her up. All right. So a lot of people out there are awake. So you might want to join the good side of history. All right. And then look at something like I just saw today. I just saw it because I've been hunting all evening. And that tells you my level of urgency. I've been in a deer stand all afternoon. All right. But Pelosi said there won't be a Trump impeachment if the Democrats win. Oh, boy. So he's okay as long as your Democrats get control of the House. Oh, okay. Well, why was it a Democrat House under President Trump that passed the authorization for your Venezuelan and Caribbean actions? Because that's what Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550 is. It was also the National Defense Authorization Act section. So that was the Democratic House under President Trump. So see, when you know the formula on the correct side of things, then you'll be able to see all the other on the other side. Because that's humorous if you know what I know. But if you don't know what I know, then you'd be like, oh, that Nancy Pelosi, have another beer, Nancy. Drink you another whiskey. That's drama. See, and that's the days of the past. And the only way to get out of the past is to what? Change your way of thinking, change your attitude, change your consumption of what you're consuming. Like that old saying about the definition of insanity is doing things over and over again, expecting different results. So why, if you're flustered and everything, or mad or angry or whatever, you just turn the TV off. If you turn the TV off or unfollow whatever you're following, then problem solved there. But you still have President Trump, and you still have a military. Those are your umbrellas. All right. And there's a reason why President Trump is unique, different, can say what he wants to say, and says a lot of things that he gets away with. There's a reason. It's because of 45-47. It sounds like a broken record, but that's a visual. He put the visual there 1 year and 7 months before November the 5th. That is 17. I mean, you can't, we're already past mathematically impossible. We're already past that. If you know anything about Q and the mathematics, we're past that. All right. So the only way to flip your thinking is to flip your thinking. Like President Trump said, the cure cannot be bigger than the problem. So if you feel like being negative is a problem, then you got to do what? You got to flip it, which you should. Because, again, I'm living life. Everybody I know is living life. Everybody I know on higher levels are living life. Every general I know living life. Every colonel I know living life. Everybody's living life. And there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing. So, in a special operation like this, though, they put out people, right? You just let the rope out a little bit. You let them hang themselves. So this whole thing, like the Rob Reiner situation, now they're saying all his sons in custody and all this. It could still be, again, a special operation where way back here they got someone detained, and that person detained is not giving them what, or didn't give them what they wanted, and so, okay, well, this will go down on you in history. All right. But people forget. Look at Bob Saget, They never even had anything about that. Never even had the bid to do or anything about who did it and a trial or anything like that. People just forgot about it. See how quick you forgot about an actor? It's the same thing that's going to happen in history. You're going to forget about all the stuff, the little hiccups and bumps along the way, and you're going to remember the big events. And that's just the name. That's just the name of history, how that works. But you know, and just like this shooter over there in Australia, a dude tackles him, picks the gun up, then puts the gun down. I mean, now, you know, I think Australia, that could be real, but it also could be a psyop as well because of the connection with Australia and the Crown, and also what is taking place with Australia and the stock market and all these other things through the last 10 years. But we'll just let it play out. Just let it see. Let it play out. But again, you know, there's a lot of shootings taking place, quote unquote, and naturally the left are doing what? Blaming whom? President Trump. So the left are still being distracted in another kind of way. Republicans are being distracted in all kinds of ways as well. Oh boy, I mean, Republicans are eating the Erica Kurt thing up. That and the Candace Owens, eating it up. I mean, just like a bunch of pigs at a sty. I mean, just or at a trough, just tearing it up. And I'm like, it has no bearing on anything as far as the arguments and all that stuff, you know. And then like Israel, I'm sick to death of the emails and messages I'm getting of Israel. I mean, I get messages from people. Most people can't even put any country on the map. If you took a blank map of Europe, Asia, the Middle East, can't even put the countries on the map. And then what you're Googling and what you've Googled through your life and what maybe your daddy, your mama told you, whatever it is, whoever, it don't make you an expert on Israel. You know, when you're dealing with something as big as the Bible and religion on top of it, you know, everybody's right and everybody's wrong. Everybody's an expert. Nobody's an expert. It all boils down to who is in charge right now. And what are those leaders doing? And the Abraham Accords plus President Trump, what he's done with the 8 wars that he talks about, every one of those, majority of those were in a what? Executive order with a national emergency by whom? Obama and back. So that shows you President Trump, the generals, the admirals, the leaders have taken over the laws and the orders as prescribed on paper. And he said what? The resolution, the cure cannot be bigger than the problem. So they're ending all these things. Obviously, Yemen didn't capitulate. All right. Venezuela didn't capitulate. Ukraine didn't capitulate. All right. Iran didn't capitulate. So there you go. There's 4 right there. Now, Israel's a whole other category because of the history. But all the people talking about, why are we still sending money to Ukraine and Israel? Do you even know what's going on in Ukraine? Well, they're in a war with Russia. No, they're not. The whole thing, the war started in 2014. What's been taking place in Ukraine has been wiping out biochemical labs. And that all was in Congress, congressional oath in 2022 when no one was paying attention. Everybody was doing what? Bitching about Joe Biden, and Joe Biden wasn't even real, wasn't even president. They had Victoria Nuland under oath in 2022, finally admitted what? Oh, there are biochemical labs there, but we don't want the Russians to get them. Of course you don't, morons. So see, you got to know, and you can't pick this up one day, put it down the next, but you also can't just listen to everybody and anybody. You got to know what President Trump's working with and the military side. And the whole Ukraine thing, they didn't capitulate. If Russia invaded Ukraine, it wouldn't be Ukraine at the table to make a peace deal. It would be Russia. It wouldn't be Ukraine. And Ukraine wouldn't be, oh, we're not going to do this. We're not. No, yes, most certainly did. The hell you are. if it were them. That's how that would roll. So see, if people would just understand that simplicity, all President Trump say, yeah. As a matter of fact, yes, you are. If you don't, guess what's going to happen? We're going to remove you if it were real. So see, Yemen, why aren't people up in arms? Why weren't the same people up in arms over Yemen as they are with Venezuela? Even these Republicans jumping ship. We're going to war. He said he was. It's not war. It's not war. And first off, it's Executive Order 13692 by Yo Mama Obama. All right. And then two, where was your same attitude towards Yemen? We were bombing the hell out of Yemen back in March. Where were you then? Why weren't you saying, oh, no war with Yemen? Because most people never heard of Yemen. Most people can't put Yemen on the map. And most people don't even know that Iran is tied in with Yemen. So see, so many people have no idea because they just want to keep listening and believing what they think they know, and the people they think they know, and then the drama, and then obviously Newsmax, OAN, and then Fox still hung up on that. All right, and until we get rid of all those, it's going to look like this. And until every American demands that and also unfollows, unsubscribes, and quit watching that and study and read what you're supposed to know, it's going to be like this, unfortunately. And that's a world I don't want to be a part of personally, just because it does not promote thinking or critical thinking skills, strategic thinking skills, anything. It just keeps everybody, again, like a herd of sheep. And then you got the bell.
Did we lose you, Derek? Can't hear you. Where are you at these days? Can't hear you, Derek. You might have to go out and come back in. Are you in a hole, a rabbit hole? Hang tight, everybody. He'll come back. Yes, as he was talking about Erica Kirk, I have always noticed that she is always looking up. That seems very odd to me. She's just always looking up and not directly at the person interviewing her or whatever. Go ahead, Derek.
Well, I don't know. I must have stepped on some toes over there in the Starlink world.
You're good. We can hear you loud and clear now.
Well, it's frustrating for people who do know. I think I'm more frustrated because I do know and I can't unknow what I know. And I'm more frustrated because if people would trust someone like me, it would truly be in the right context. It wouldn't be, hey, trust me, and then you get led to a field and drink the Kool-Aid, right? There are some people who you absolutely can trust, but the only way you're going to know that is by what are they bringing to the table. Now, naturally, anyone who hears me for the first time, if they're hearing me for the first time, they're going to go, oh my God, he is a conspiracy theorist. Talking about, they forget about being a retired veteran. They don't think of anything special operations. They don't think of anything of that category. They just go straight over to, oh, you're saying that Donald Trump never left and he was still president and that Joe Biden wasn't real. And well, that's exactly what I'm saying, because we have proof of this in history where we've used puppet governments and unconventional warfare. We have proof of this. It's not far-fetched. It's not like it's never happened. It just happened in the 40s. But my grandfather lived through it and served through it. So yes, it's very much real. So I get more frustrated for people because I just know what I know. I can't unknow what I know. And I'm not going to refrain from delivering that and putting that out there. Same thing with the Charlie Kirk thing. All right, until it's kind of like I said on my post today. I said on one of them, I said, until you can answer all these questions and say why you did not see what you most definitely saw, then there you go. So now I'm like one of the colonels. Could Charlie Kirk actually be gone? Sure, he could be. But there's going to be a reason behind that. There's going to be a reason why they showed an artificial intelligence video on September the 10th, because none of that was real. And even if I wasn't a retired veteran, even if I wasn't a veteran, even if I had no military experience whatsoever, I'm a deer hunter. I shoot a 30-06, and I also shoot a 7mm Magnum. They're high-powered rifles. They will put a hole in a deer the size of a softball. All right. It would have blown his freaking neck off. So see, what people like me do is go, forget about who it is. Forget about their stature. Forget about their name. Forget about their clout. Forget about all that. Divorce that. Look at the facts. And again, I won't even be able to post a photo of a deer getting blown up by me because, one, people are sensitive out there. Oh, I can't believe you shoot deer. Well, how else am I going to eat? They taste good. So I can't convince a deer, hey, will you fall over dead for me? My followers don't want me shooting you. Can you just fall dead? I mean, maybe if I hold a photo of Rosie O'Donnell up, maybe they will die. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. But there's that. And, you know, a 30-06. And then you got a squirrel that I put, it's just a funny photo of a squirrel being home by us, you know what. And it gets blocked for graphic content. So I'm not even going to be able to post a photo of a deer with a bullet hole because it's going to be blocked for graphic content. And will people click on it and go, oh, what is this? All you got to do is go to Google and type in 30-06 human neck. And you, I mean, click on the photos, click unhide sensitive content. Go ahead, stomach it. Go look what a 30-06 will do. Go look what a 9mm or just any weapon will do. If you look at a small caliber like a 22 or a 223 or a 9mm, what it'll do to a human neck, and then you hear someone and you know, or go to Google and say, hey, is a 30-06 bigger than a 9mm? It should say hell yes, but it's going to say yes. Well, if you can see what a 9mm does to a neck, imagine what a 30-06 will do. So that's the stuff that people need to know first. What can you know? What did you see? What did you witness? Well, what you saw and what you witnessed is what you can most definitely know. Now, if you don't know the terminology, the verbiage, et cetera, then someone like me goes, hey, look at this, look at this, look at this, check this out, go see this, go. I give you all these questions. What you're supposed to do is go look at the original footage and or all the footage that I put up on my page, and then take that list as if it's like a legend and either print it out or write it out and go look at that video and go, oh, yep, no, yep, whatever it is. Yep, if it's a yep, if it's a no. And then make it say, does that make sense to you? If this was the love of your life, would you be wearing nasty old white tennis shoes on the tarmac while the Air Force is rolling your love of your life out? The final ride. I mean, make that make sense. I mean, just stuff like that. This prissy, beautiful girl, let's just be honest, she's a pretty girl. So this prissy, always dressed up, the love of her life is being escorted by the quote-unquote Air Force, who are standing there in gray pants where they're not regulation whatsoever. Nothing regulation about that day. But she's standing there in dirty old white tennis shoes. Come on, people. Like, that's the stuff. So see, if you'll just divorce your feelings and emotions. But see, too many people are what? Hung up on Candace Owens and her name. When did she come on the scene? 2015. Did you know her? Probably not, because she didn't blow up until 2017. But guess what? She was already out. So you could have known about her. See, look when I was presented to the world, if you want to call it that. 2022. Everybody from 2017 before, especially, are looking exactly the way they're supposed to be looking. Atrocious. On both sides of the aisle. And a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives, because they don't know a single thing about laws and orders. And I know it's a broken record, but there's current invoked laws and orders from both sectors that form a blueprint, and they're most certainly being carried out. The other thing, I was seeing something on TV right now. I saw a President Trump, they're showing a truth of his. If you're on Truth Social, President Trump is not posting a whole lot. He's maybe the last week or so is maybe 1, 2, 3 posts a day. That is a telltale as well. So not a whole lot of posts going on, not a whole lot of quote unquote information. And then he may mention about the 2020 election. He said you'll start seeing more results in a speech from the other evening. All right. And, you know, Bryson DeChambeau is a golfer he had on the stage with him. Bryson DeChambeau is like 6'1". How is he taller than President Trump? President Trump's 6'3". He is not shrinking. I hear people all, oh, he's getting older. No, he's getting older, but he is not shrinking. Just because everybody who gets old don't shrink. The people who shrink have something, most of the time, osteoporosis and all those things. But President Trump's not shrinking. He's not old and decrepit. He's playing golf daily. All right, he's not shrinking. Stop using that. You're just trying to talk yourself out of something, because Bryson DeChambeau, 6'1", is not supposed to be taller than President Trump. Go look at the video. I mean, they cannot put this any more apparent. The other thing is President Trump was speaking today. His face is shining like a brand new $50. All right, that is a meat skin suit like nobody's business. That is not nobody's skin looks orange like that. Nobody. So again, you can call it crazy, far-fetched. Your friends can call it that. Your family can call it that. But the laws and the orders outline what they outline. And you're supposed to be in a small percentile, because guess who else was? Our founders. Only 4 men. Sorry, ladies. Only 4 men. 4 men wrote every bit of our founding documents. So, I mean, 4. There were 2.3 million population back then, so do your math into that. You know what my math is on that? Anybody want to hit that drum roll for me? Decimal point 5017. Can't make that up. So, you know, God knows what he's doing. And at the end of the day, I ain't a preacher, and I'm not a gaslighter like Erica Kurt, her dropping the book of Nehemiah and her recent Pike, whatever it was, on the interview too, where my silence does not mean this. My silence does not. You ain't silent. All right. Telling the conspiracy theorists to stop, saying we're taking all leads to the authorities when they already have a shooter. All right. And then all the other things she said. Talking about the book of Nehemiah. We're building. We're building. What are you building? He had already built it. And it was built on donations. Why do you guys need money? Why do you need money? Why are you asking for donations? Why are you having $10,000 a plate at Mar-a-Lago? Quote unquote. So you see all that stuff? But the Bible says specifically, the Bible says that 10,000 will fall on your left and 10,000 may fall on your right, but you won't be harmed. All right, so there's a lot of people out there, and only God knows who is and who ain't. He truly knows who is, and he truly knows who ain't. And there's a lot of moving mouths out there that say they are, and they ain't. And God knows. He does know. Now, we're all appointed a time to man to die, but God's going to protect his people that's doing his work. And there's a lot out there that you don't know, you've never met, you'll never meet, you won't ever meet. you're taking up for people that you don't know, that you've never met, but you're also not being presented anything by them. It's all drama. And let's just be honest with Charlie Kirk. I didn't mean to do a Charlie Kirk thing tonight, but let's just be honest. All right. A lot of people follow me that are gay, Buddhist, atheist, spiritual this, spiritual that. You name it this, you name it that. All kinds of walks of life follow me. All right. But how many followed him? Think about it now. You cannot, that is a true definition of when you're talking about flies and honey and poop and fly, bees and honey, poop and flies. In one moment, he was condescending to people, saying, "Oh, I give them the floor," but he turned around and was condescending to every one of them, and humiliated them, embarrassed them. Who was cheering? Republicans were cheering, but who wasn't cheering? Democrats and liberals weren't cheering. So the only way that you can get a Democrat or a liberal to come to the table is to do what? You walk in your own path. If you feel like gay is wrong or this is wrong or that, then walk in your own path. All right. If those people see a light in you that they want, they'll ask you about it if you live your life accordingly. But getting out there saying this and that, you don't need to do that. I know what our foundation is. I'm a firm believer in our foundation of this nation being Christianity and Judaism. That's what our founders did, both of those. But you got to look at someone like Thomas Paine. I remember when I first went viral, I talked about Thomas Paine somewhere back in there. And I had 1 million emails and messages. Oh, he was an atheist. Okay. Did you read what I said, though? Did you read what Thomas Paine also said? What did he say? He was an atheist, yes, but he said that he was okay with a nation having a foundation in a deity. See, people didn't even read that part. Don't even read that portion. All you hear is atheist and it goes against your beliefs and But see, we have to have differences. But our differences make us strong. But our differences also are not supposed to be out in the streets 24/7 and in everybody's laps 24/7. And there's a way to have federal relieved of all that, and also state level relieved of all that. And then you live your life at your house, etc. You can walk down the street, whatever. You want to look like a frou-frou walking down the street? Well, be prepared to be looked at like that. But people like me ain't going to harm you. I'll only protect you. All right. But taking it to the schoolhouses? No. Taking it to the churches? No. There are limitations on that. Right. And when everybody starts practicing that again, and everybody's being reciprocal about it, then it'll clean out. But until people stop all this, it's just gaslighting and manipulation on the other side. And it all it does is keep that tit for tat going. And until everybody lives their life on their accord and stops all that, it's not going to change. You have that power. You have that control. You have the authority and control of what also bothers you, upsets you, frustrates you. You have control of that. That's why about the first 2 years, I tried not to talk about anybody. Everybody kept asking me, what do you think about so-and-so? What about this? And I'm like, I try not to, because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing and tasked to do. But then I knew once we got into 2025, then that's when we're going to have to start going, all right, this person ain't. This person isn't. This person ain't. Because where we are right now, more Americans should be closer than what they're portraying. But especially people on Telegram or especially Telegram, True Social. It's to be expected of somewhat on X and Facebook, because those are still more of your mainstream everything. But man,
so real quick, Derek, real quickly, I want to add to it, everybody too. So So I always say to my audience and the people when I co-host or I'm a speaker on X, X is way behind. So is, like Derek said, Facebook. There's a lot of this stuff that we've already, talked about, debunked, all the stuff that they're coming up to the plate, just like running their mouths about it. It's like they're late to the party, right? But also too, when you're looking to see who to follow, right? You got to follow the money. You got to look at a lot of these podcasters and who their donors are. And I'm telling you, a lot of these podcasters are getting major money from donors, i.e., Candace Owens is one of them. We got Tim Pool out there. Got a lot of people out there that are being funded by donors with a lot of money. So they're flying around in jets and stuff like that. So that should put like a bit of a question mark in your head to do a little bit more research on who you're following, because remember, everybody, a lot of people have been placed in for this moment in time. They've been being prepared for, now is your time to go out and do whatever it is, cause chaos, who knows, but follow the money, everybody, definitely, because it's more obvious now than ever. Go ahead, Derek.
Well, it's the same thing with the whole Turning Point USA. It was founded on a donation. I mean that, and he was not shy about the donor. And then he's made comments about, I mean, millions and thousands, and I mean, so now, there are some things out there that have been good. Um, the Wounded Warrior Project. All right, the Wounded Warrior Project exploded on the scene because people were getting tired of the VA. Veterans were complaining about the VA, the VA, the VA. Well, the Wounded Warrior Project exploded onto the scene, and they literally they call me, text me, they email me all the time. They check in on you, how you doing, you need anything, etc. There's layers of it too, and there's tiers of it. Now, about 3 or 4 years ago, the Wounded Warrior Project had a CEO that was embezzling money, and then they were removed, and then the new takeover literally contacted every Wounded Warrior alumni and said, "Hey," they introduced themselves and said, well, "This is who," and said, "It is what it is. Yes, it happened." And they just straight up were honest that, yeah, it did, but they were embezzling from another portion. Well, you know, it's still a cohesive group of people all over the nation. So it's the mission is still there. And what they do for all my brothers and sisters in arms out there, I mean, their work is impeccable. Like, your vehicle needs an apparatus put on it, your house needs it, whatever it is, they step up and they do it. So, but that's still off a donation. So there can be cases where there's a good mission and even some slip ups along the way and some hiccups, but then the mission's still there. But that's to be determined with TP USA. No, but they just now updated the website. I have everything timestamped. They just now updated where Candace Owens not on there anymore, and then now they put everything in past tense for Charlie. Well, why did it take them so long? I mean, I have two guys that have access to my stuff that I trust. I've known them for years. They can change that just like that. I can change it for that matter. I can go on and do simple things like that on my website. It don't take that long to change those things. So there's certain things out there that maybe you're not seeing and paying attention to. But there's just little things that add up to big things. But, millions and millions can change a person. Um, Sometimes it don't, but there's a lot of people that it does change. The question was roaming around, that was Charlie going to run for president and all these other things. Well, you know, uh, it could be where he peaked too soon, or of course, I know a lot more than what I probably should allude to anyway, but still, those things don't just quote unquote happen. And then what they display to you, you cannot unsee it and unread it when you go read those questions. and then go look at the footage. You cannot unsee it. Now, history's going to account for it. There's going to be everything's going to have an accountability. Because if it didn't, history would judge President Trump, also the generals and the admirals. And again, do you really think President Trump would come out of quote unquote retirement, even though he's never really retired per se, but he don't live the life that you and I do? Let's just be honest. So why would a man come out of playing golf every day, can fly anywhere in the world all day, every day, wherever he wants to go, anytime he wants to go? Why would a man come out of that just for a regular presidency? He wouldn't. And with what the liberals think of him, if this wasn't a strategic and special operation, then nothing changes because it's still a 50-50. And a lot of Republicans have jumped ship. So it would be back to normal if there wasn't a finale. Now I don't think it's going to be a finale where the whole world stops and they pull out a Dead Sea Scroll and they read for 7 days straight. I don't believe that at all. It's a rolling operation. But I'm not in the command room and I'm not in the war room. So there's no way to know exactly what they're going to do. And if I did know what they were going to do, I wouldn't be on here talking about it. Because that goes back to oath. And I've reminded people today to remember, some of us are still under oath, and we can be tried under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So that's why I'm very strategic with what I say and also my posts as well. But I know when I'm stretching the bar a little bit, but I also know that, hey, it's all been public. Everything I talk about, show, has already been made public. It's just a matter of, will you go look at it? There's a difference in looking and seeing. There's a difference in hearing and listening. And it's all there, and it's going to be accounted for in history books. President Trump will be exonerated, and there will be a lot more that are on board than there will be less. Because if it was less than the norm, then we would be right back to the swamp days like that. Because people wouldn't have what? People wouldn't have the power back, like President Trump taking the power out of D.C., giving it back to the people. People wouldn't be educated or re-educated on the things that matter. People wouldn't have that knowledge to know what your power and authority and roles are. So we would never get out of what we've all known before 2017. So that's at the end of the day, when you feel if and when you feel frustrated or whatever it may be, what negative, sad, whatever it is, you always have to have a base formula to fall back to. You always have to fall back to something. Let that be it. What I just said is that at the end of the day, President Trump, you have to look at the man, what he came out of to take on. And then you got to go, okay, if this wasn't strategic and special, and he can say whatever the heck he wants to say and no repercussion and all this other thing, but then if there wasn't an accountability and or a like a resolution, but also a revealing of all these, then it would just be it would be another 4 years, but it's actually would look worse. Because if let's just say, just for fun, let's do hypothetical. If it ended today, if this was the end and nothing happened and there was no accountability and there was no resolution and there was no revealing of anything, President Trump's numbers will be worse in another manner, because you have the liberals who are definitely not on board. You have the Democrats who are definitely not on board. And then look at all the Republicans, conservatives who have jumped ship, who they've already thrown in the towel as well. And so we would be right back in the same boat we've always were in. And every one of you lived through that. You've lived through the swamp. So do you want the swamp back? Because that's what you would get really quick if Democrats and liberals and everything had full sway and everything, and they went in there and changed all these laws and changed everything back. It'd take them a while, what President Trump's done, but they would do it. And you wouldn't stop it because you don't know the language of the verbiage. So, and you also don't even know your own authority and power. I mean, that's what gets me the most is like, who do you think gives Congress the power? Who do you think gives law enforcement? Now, I support law enforcement, but we created all these. These are all man-made everything. We created this. We established it. We're in control of it. If we wanted to abolish it, we could. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of fighting if we did. But still, we create everything we have. The financial system, we created that. It's a man-made system. Everything is created by us, established by us, and played with by us. But in all reality, you know, if we went back to the 1800s, which, you know, there were some things then, obviously, they still have, there's always been a form of barter. But if you really went back, if we could take our medical, quote unquote, science, but holistic and all that, if we could take that of today and go back to the 1800s without the internet, without TV, you know, and then maybe have, you know, a couple of vehicles, but not too many, but just enough to be satisfied and not have to. I'll take a horse and wagon again. I'd be okay with that. But some people wouldn't. But, and then also, if you heard that little clink, little metal sound a while ago, I'm going to have me some propane heater. I'm not going back to no fireplace and no quilt when I'm freezing. So if we could take some of today's luxuries and go back, just think about that. You know, the stress, the anxiety. The people back then, they didn't stress about, I mean, hardly any. You got to think about the days of old. I mean, I remember my grandpa was talking. I remember all my great uncles talking. You know, about the days of old. And it sounded like, man, they were talking about the 1800s. They were just talking about the 1930s and 40s, some in the 20s. But, I mean, it wasn't that long ago we lived a pretty decent life. And so the way you drain it is you got to get rid of it. So you have that authority. You have that control to go unfollow, unsubscribe, whatever, turn it off, walk out, take you a walk, take you a breather, sit in a chair, try to think of nothing. If you just sit in your chair or wherever it is you're sitting and just close your eyes, like I did in my deer stand today. I think I nap better in my deer stand than I do at home. But I get better sleep in my deer stand. But I sit there and I just don't think of anything. When I think I need to make a post, no, I don't. I need to sit here and think about God's nature and God's gift and God, you know, that's my church pew is on the deer stand, you know. So, you know, distractions. Now, some things are real that you can't eradicate evil. There's going to be idiots out there. There's going to be morons. But the more we crack down on it, and the more we start cracking the whip, and the more we also, and you're going to see it, they're going to show punishment of these people. But when you start doing what Texas used to do all the way to the 1930s, Texas, in the 1930s, we're still hanging people in the town square for people to see whoever committed a crime. So like if you stole a horse, which was a livelihood, well, they would hang them, and they made the town watch it. You think, especially if you were a kid and you said, Mama, Daddy, what did he do? Well, he stole a horse. That's what's going to happen if you steal one. You think they stole many horses? No. There were a few who tried, but most of them were desperate and they just got caught. But there weren't people who were just going, oh man, it's illegal. I think I'm going to say. No, it put the fear of God into people. And that's what we got to do again. We got to put the fear of God back into people. You know, we quit discipline. We had all these holier than thous. We had all these DEI people out there. You can't spank your children. How dare you spank your child? I'm going to tell you what. My mom and dad didn't whip me a whole lot. They didn't have to because I was afraid of my dad's loud voice. But the one time or two times that I got popped in my life, it made me go, oh, I don't get this often, but boy, I don't want that again. So, you know, it don't hurt people. Discipline don't hurt people. Structure don't hurt people. And our society is a product of letting go of so many core discipline and structure functions. And look what we got. We've got a bunch of spoiled brats who are yelling, screaming, kicking, cussing, and don't even really know what they're kicking, cussing, fussing about. They have no idea. If their dear sweet grandmother sitting in a little flower dress was in their living room, they wouldn't know a wolf in sheep's clothing because they have no skill sets. They cannot identify what is, what ain't, who is, who isn't, etc. And that's just where we are. And there's a way to sharpen your skills, but you have control of that, and you have to want that, and you have to show the initiative, and you have to go do that. And I mean, the same thing with the laws and orders. They're there. I mean, I didn't just pull this out of the hat, but it's what the president has to work with, and he better be working with it, because if he wasn't, one, it'd be a contradiction to what he says. Two, he'd be loopholing everything like the past did. And then three, we'd be right back where we were again. So, anyway.
Are you trying to start a fire? Is that what you're trying to do?
Well, I mean, I've got a fire going over here, but
Oh boy. Well, you want to take these two questions and then we'll close it out, or you got to go get some food.
well, we'll take them because I see the two hands, but let's just keep it at those two because I do need to.
You got to go.
Well, yeah, I've got to make some arrangements. Speaking of great uncles, I have a great uncle who passed away today. So.
Oh no, Derek, I'm so sorry. Okay, well, it's just one question for Elaine Campbell. Go ahead, Elaine Campbell. Your mic is unmuted, and then we'll close it out after this question. Go ahead, Elaine. Go ahead, Elaine Campbell. Your mic is unmuted. Push the blue button. All right. Well, Derek, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll be here. Good Lord willing.
Yeah, you'll be here. All right, sweetie. Well, I apologize for your uncle. I'm sending you big hugs, prayers, and love. And hang in there, my friend. So yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Everybody here. Derek will be back with this in 2 weeks. And then come back tomorrow, everybody. We have SGN on. He's going to be on at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over here on the Telegram page. And then we've got Carrie Kasem and Rick Anson on Wednesday from Brain IQ Health. Rick Anson and then Carrie Kasem. She's got her Pain to Purpose, Facem, what is it, skincare. I'm pulling a brain fart here. So anyway, God bless you, Derek, and prayers with your family. Big hugs, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. We'll see y'all soon.
Take care, everybody. God bless. Have a great rest of your evening.